until Chase.
I'd like to call the Dallas City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 20, 2024 to order. First thing I'm going to do is read the addendum here. Church at the Park has submitted an application for an emergency shelter on Holman Avenue in Dallas pursuant to House Bill 3395, 2023. This application is currently being reviewed by the city staff and will be scheduled for a public hearing before the City Council at a future date and time. Public comments, both written and oral, will be accepted after the public hearing has been scheduled. The City Council will not receive public comment on the subject of the proposed project at this council meeting. Public comment on homelessness in general will be received, but comments on the particular project should be reserved for public hearing. So next on the agenda, I'd like to have the secretary please call the roll.
Council President Schilling.
Here.
Councilor Adams.
Here.
Councilor Barrientos.
Here.
Councilor Jantz.
Here.
Councilor Verdon.
Here.
Councilors Briggs, Collins, Fitzgerald, and Shane are excused.
So we do have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next thing I'd like to do is read a proclamation. City of Dallas, Polk County, Oregon. Whereas the city of Dallas was established in 1874, becoming the 19th incorporated city in the state of Oregon, and whereas 1860 census listed the population as 449, with 2 physicians, a druggist, 2 school teachers, 3 clergymen, a baker, a hotel keeper, 6 or 7 general stores, a saw and plating mill, a flour mill, a saddle tree maker, and the woolen mill at Allendale. And whereas today Dallas has a population of 17,909, and is providing community with a newspaper, multiple major employers with significant residential growth. And whereas the city of Dallas is proposed for significant commercial growth in the coming years, preparing for significant industrial growth. And whereas the 150th celebration will be held on Saturday, February 17, 2024, in front of City Hall on Court Street. And whereas the time capsule will be created and buried in front of the City Hall to be open in February 20, 2074 to celebrate the city's bicentennial. And whereas the city of Dallas will be 150 years old on February 20th, 2024, and the 150th celebration will celebrate Dallas's history, community, and future. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth L. Woods, Jr., Mayor of the City of Dallas, do hereby proclaim the year of 2024 be known as Dallas's 150th celebration year in Dallas, Oregon, and call upon the people of Dallas to join their friends and neighbors throughout this community in celebrating the history and the future of our town. Signed this 20th day of February 2024, Kenneth L. Woods, Jr., Mayor. And in going with that, I just want to make a comment. I think we should recognize Kim Herring for the job she did for this celebration and the people she put together. And it was all volunteers, and it worked. We had a nice parade Saturday, even though it rained. We had nice activities Saturday. We had some activities today. So I just want to thank you. So any other introductions or?
Yeah, we have some recognitions tonight. And so along with the theme of the 150th celebration, the council asked us to put together an essay contest, which we did for the youth of our community. Push that out to all the schools and the homeschool people that live in our community. And we received lots of feedback on that, lots of essays that came in. And we had a judging panel that judged the essays. And there were 7 people that we selected as winners. one from the middle school, one from the high school, and then 5 others that we just felt were worthy of recognition. So hopefully all 7 of the students have been invited. They were all invited tonight, but hopefully they're here. And I'm going to invite the mayor to come down. And what we'll do is we have some stuff for you, including the certificate and then a prize in there. So your prize is in the envelope. So what we'll do is we'll call up a student at a time. They'll come up, shake the mayor's hand. We'll give you your certificate and prize, and we'll get a photo of you. So I'll come up here. We'll do that. No. You didn't write this. All right. So we will start with Dennis Jackson. I think it's DJ Jackson. DJ here. He's the one who weren't sure if he's going to be here. All right. Pastor, we'll go with Anastasia Barth.
Her cousin Noah John is here to receive the award. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Oh,
Come on up,
that's
Noah.
great.
Go for it.
And parents and family can take pictures too. Come on up here.
All right.
All right, Michaela Sauter. Did I say that right? Sauter.
Sauter.
Come on up, Michaela.
Nice. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nice.
Samantha Miller.
All right.
Olivia Gish.
Nice.
All right, so the winner from the high school is Beryl Lindsay.
Perfect.
And then the winning essay writer from the middle school is Destiny Johan.
Thank you.
Nice.
Can I add something very quickly? 3 of these winners are from Morrison High School. We are a high school as part of a program of Dallas High School in the district.
All right. Nice job, guys.
Right, and that's all the introductions, recognitions, or proclamations that we had, Mayor, from staff.
Okay. Next is a public hearing.
So maybe before you read the script, if you're here for the recognitions and you don't want to sit around for the rest of the council meeting, you don't have to. You're welcome to go.
Thank you for coming, though.
Yes.
It's nice.
Thank you for being here.
Nice job, everybody. Although the room will get considerably colder when they leave. Oh,
Okay, I want to open up a public hearing for the application of comprehensive plan amendment and zone change for property located on Cloud Corner Road. It is now 7:10. Is there a report?
Yes, we do have our staff, Chase Blue, who wrote the report. Charlie is Chase. He hung out outside until he has some time, so we'll go make sure I saw him. He is here. I will note, we issued a revised staff report earlier today. After our attorney reviewed this and we sent it out on Friday, there was a word change that he wanted to include in the report. It's on the back of page 6 in your packet. And the word is in the third line down, it's the second to last word from the right. The sentence says this site is suitable for development and should be considered part of the short-term supply of industrial land. The change is the word should is changed to could. So instead of the site is suitable for development and should be considered, it's could be considered. The other change which was made is in the very last sentence. I added the sentence starts, as such, the Planning Commission found that approval of the application retains an adequate supply of short-term industrial land and or reduces the current deficit of medium-density residential land. I added after the word current 20-year planned deficit of medium-density residential land, because again, that deficit is over a 20-year planning horizon. So I just wanted to make that clarification as well. So those are the changes in the report that the City Council was given from last Friday to this morning. So with that, our City Planner Chase Ballou is here, and I'll have him come up and present a report.
Yes. Kim, did I give you a PowerPoint for this one, or did I forget to do that? Okay. Well, in any event,
So I am Chase Ballou, the city planner. And so this application that we're having the public hearing on today regards the rezoning of a property on Clow Corner Road. The city council heard application public hearings last year for the annexation of this property. And at that time, the applicant was requesting a different zoning designation. City council at that time approved the annexation, but just set industrial zoning. And so now the applicant has returned with a modified proposal requesting that the northern portion of the property be rezoned as medium density residential. This would involve a comprehensive plan amendment to make that change. And so the staff report to the Planning Commission, which is included as part of the exhibits in your packet in front of you, that goes into some of the detail as to how the application could be found to conform to the applicable criteria for comprehensive plan and zoning map changes. And so if I flip to that section of my little packet here, we can talk through that. The requirements that the Dallas Development Code sets for, where is this? Come on. Yes. So the requirements that the Dallas Development Code sets for comprehensive plan amendments and zone changes. The first is that it has to be consistent with the statewide planning goals. The second being that it has to be consistent with the Dallas Comprehensive Plan. And so that's where Brian Lotta here was just speaking about some of the different policies within the comprehensive plan that could potentially apply to this property, providing a choice among, industrial sites being part of it, but there's also residential comprehensive plan policies as well. So the staff report goes into some detail on that. Let's see, where was I? The third approval criteria is that the area has to be provided with facilities and services to be able to support development of the site at the requested zoning designation, or that such infrastructure and facilities can be provided in the foreseeable future to be able to support development of the site. Again, this is addressed in the staff report, the written staff report, but it appears that that criteria can be met. The fourth is that the change is in the public interest with regard to neighborhood or community conditions, or corrects a mistake or inconsistency in the comprehensive plan. So City Council, of course, gets to determine what is in the public interest, but the staff report does go into some discussion of how the housing needs analysis that was done in 2018 did identify need for housing and specifically a shortage of the medium density residential land, which is the kind of land that the applicant is requesting with their rezoning process. So this would help fill the deficit that was identified in that planning process as part of the comprehensive plan. So staff's position is that the application is in the public interest in that regard. And then the final requirement is that the amendment has to conform to the transportation planning rule provisions under state law. And so the analysis that was provided found that even in kind of the worst case scenario, the development of the property as residential would not result in more traffic than if the property was developed as an industrial use. Some industrial uses can have quite a lot of traffic generation as part of them. So for the purposes of the transportation planning rule, that was kind of the extent of the analysis. Any actual development proposal would involve a traffic impact analysis specific to that proposal if it exceeds certain traffic thresholds. So for the purposes of the zone change, just that general analysis is really all that's required, since there would be further analysis with an actual development proposal. So that's kind of what we have in terms of the application. Again, you have the printed staff report in front of you for further reference. Certainly happy to answer questions that you all may have. Otherwise, the applicant is here and can also provide some presentation to you.
Any questions for the staff? I guess not.
Well, you'll have the chance to ask me again at the end of this. So.
Okay. Would the applicant like to come forward and state your name and address, please? And
Yes. Hi there. My name is Fred Evander. I'm representing the applicant for this, Ken Perkins. I live at 746 Southeast Shelton Street here in town. Chase did a good job of explaining that there's 5 criteria that zone changes and comprehensive plan amendments are based on. We included those in our original submittal and sort of provided an analysis of each of those 5 criteria. They're included within that submittal as part of various appendices, and so I think based on those items, you can see that that is consistent with the criteria for a zone change. You folks did look at something very similar to this about a year ago, I believe. At that time, the site was one single parcel. It has since been divided into 3 separate parcels. This would only pertain to the northern parcel, a parcel that right now no longer has a connection directly to Cloud Corner Road. The only access to the site is via Southeast Anna Avenue. Based on that, we would make the argument that it is far more suited for residential land at this point. Part of the reason for that is because the only access is through a residential neighborhood. The folks that live along Southeast Anna, from our perspective, would be negatively impacted by industrial truck traffic on that street. That might include higher volumes of trips, but it might also include significantly heavier vehicles traveling on a local residential street. We don't think that that is what that neighborhood most would benefit from. Based on that, and based on the fact that according to your own policy documents, you have something like a surplus of 68 acres of industrial land in the community. You have a deficit of roughly 21 acres of medium density residential. We see this as addressing a public need, and we see it in address a public need in a way that's responsible and responsive to the surrounding neighborhood. I think that is basically our argument. Are there any questions that you have from us? Let me just make one more statement. When Mr. Perkins divided the property into 3 separate parcels, he did dedicate to the city 35 feet for right-of-way on the east portion of the site. That is shown in your transportation system plan as a future minor arterial, but the development of that road is contingent on whatever happens to the east of the site. And at this point, I don't even know if it's in the city limits. I don't believe there's any sort of plans for development. Based on that, we don't know if that road will get developed in 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. Based on that, the northern parcel is just going to be accessed via Southeast Anna. And that northern parcel is completely disconnected from Cloud Corner Road. So are there any questions that you have from me?
Any questions for the applicant?
We cannot ask about parking.
And the project applicant is more than happy to speak in our rebuttal time. Thank you.
Is there any further comments for the staff? Okay, public testimony. Anybody wanted to speak on the topic? Nothing.
Since there's no testimony, there's no.
Okay.
So with no testimony, then there's no need for rebuttal. But if you want to come up as part of your applicant time, we'll let you do that if you want to. Yeah.
Very good speaker, that's my friends here, so. Hello, my name is Ken Perkins. My address is 4925 Livermore Road, Dallas. Couple of things I just wanted to say is that in my mind, I'm trying to do a project that is fit for this area. I'm a local person. My wife and I live and she works here. I'm a local builder and I want this to be a good project here. And I really believe that that's what's suited for that property and not industrial. That's why I've done it. I had a neighborhood meeting with a lot of the people. I think that you guys probably got in your packet. Did you guys get letters from some of the neighbors and whatnot? Okay. And I've kept in touch with them. I'm trying to, I know that they've talked about it, whether this, passes or not, it's tonight. But if it does, they talked about having a park. I'd love to put a park in that neighborhood. It would go great. But anyway, I'm local. I want to do a good project there. I want to do what I think is the right project. And, it's not prime industrial. It's not connected to Cloud Corner. And, let's keep family situated in that bottom area. I think that's it for me. Do you guys have any questions for me at all, or?
Any questions?
I will state that something was brought up last time and there will be fire access through the other parcels for that. So that there is a second area just to come in. So that's already in place and that's gone through site design review and too. I don't know, did you guys get in your packet the picture of the parcels with the easement? Since we didn't have a PowerPoint.
So that's on page 19 of 145. That map there.
Thank you. And so I just wanted to make that aware that for fire and safety purposes, we wanted to do that, not just for that northern parcel for the community, but also for the other properties to the south of this parcel. So trying to do, correct planning and whatnot. So I think that's all I have to say, and appreciate giving me a minute to come up and talk.
Thank you. Close it.
Yeah.
So I don't know the procedures. I live in that neighborhood and I say something.
So if you want to give public testimony, you just need to come to the microphone You just state your name and address and you can talk. We'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Breaker, I live at 1853 Southwest Gregory Drive. It connects right with Hannah. We just moved here from Kaiser to Dallas. My godmother lived here my entire childhood. I came to visit and I loved it. So when I got old enough to buy a house and move here, it was my dream. Small town feel, I loved it. Less traffic, less people, friendly neighborhoods. And when we moved out there, I have 2 small children who ride their bikes in the neighborhood, and the thought of having industrial vehicles or big vehicles coming and going through there besides a school bus, which is usually the biggest vehicle out there, or occasional tow truck, it worries me because, you know, I'm one of many families. That neighborhood has become really big in families now, that there's a lot of kids riding their bikes through the streets or playing in the streets. And I would love the idea of a park. That would be wonderful. Even if it would just turn into more houses, I feel it'd be safer for the families in the neighborhood because there are many small children out there who I feel like we wouldn't feel as safe riding on the streets, and especially with the school buses going through. You see in like the bigger cities, you know, Dallas, I feel safe here compared to, I mean, I born and raised in Salem. I don't want to talk bad about another city, but I didn't feel safe there. And now here, I feel like if I wanted to, I could leave my doors unlocked and that I could go to my neighbors and, you know, feel comfortable, and that I would have people hear my voices and feel safe in my own home and in my community. So just wanted to say that I think that his idea is wonderful for a park, or, you know, biased as a mom with small kids, a park is wonderful, but a neighborhood would be much better than industrial because there really is nothing else out there but just houses. Besides, you know, a little bit of the corner is a storage unit. So putting some big trucks in there wouldn't, they're kind of like an eyesore, I guess, in my opinion. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? So I'll close the public hearing, and what's the council's decision?
We should have discussion
Yeah.
before there's a motion.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that everybody has a discussion before we make an actual motion. Tonight's a unique night, having 4 counselors out sick. Any decision that is made tonight has to be a unanimous decision if a motion is to be made in the positive or the negative on this. If there is not a full quorum of 5 votes at this time, we will be moving to postpone until the next meeting. So is there any discussion?
Any discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Well, before I do have discussion, I'm not going to change my opinion because the parcel was split. Ken is an amazing builder. I will agree with that. But in the vision of the city and in going through the struggles that the city has gone through with the general fund and the stabilization of the general fund, that is one of our policies. One of our policies is the benefits to the citizens. And Jason presented that to us today, that it's our decisions to make what is in the best interest of the city. And one of the areas that we can stabilize the fund is in our industrial area. This parcel is readily developable because it's been split into 2. There is industrial planned in portion of it now. If you read the staff findings that was handed out and the word that was changed, while the city's 20-year supply of industrial land demonstrates a surplus compared to the 20-year demand, portions of that supply are not ready for construction within 1 year of application for a building permit. This site is suitable for development and could be considered part of the short-term supply of industrial land. So it is, in my opinion, because of the part, and that's what we're here to decide, is it could be part of the short-term supply. I see that as you look at the map as a whole, the industrial land is south of the railroad tracks. And this is part of that contiguous piece of property. And so it extends all the way out and would continue out. I understand in the past, they've allowed some housing to be in that area, but that's not the intent for the long future and thoughts of the city council. And so I believe on page 9 of the packet, policy 2.3.1 is to preserve prime industrial sites and reserve suitable land to provide a choice among site for new industrial development prior to an actual demand. And yes, it's been broken into a smaller, but it is still contiguous with other parcels for readily developable land. And I believe that is correct. As far as the housing needs analysis, 21 acres is what was deemed needed. 9 acres of that has already been brought in the last 3 years. That's 42% of the property that we need to be brought in as RM. And that was done in 14% of the time of the 20-year time period. So we are also in the process of rezoning the Locker All node. And the Locker All node has a lot of RM that's in it. So that shortage isn't something that has to be done immediately. It's out there. So with that being said, I'd kind of like to take a straw poll. Can I take a straw poll? Is there anybody in favor of the measure right now? Because I'll be voting against it. Okay, so I move to postpone the hearing until the next city council meeting.
March 4th.
Second.
Did we not have an agreement?
There,
I miss that
there's a straw
part?
poll. It will not pass tonight.
So in order to, so by council rules, in order to approve any motion, you need to have 5 affirmative votes.
Right.
So with a land use decision, you either have to say yes or you say no. You can't, by default, not approving a motion makes it be the other way, right? You either have to say we approve the application or we deny the application. If there's at least 2 counselors on, or at least 1 counselor on either side of that question, you're not going to get 5 votes because there's only 5 of you here. So what Michael's proposing is, knowing that he's against it and someone else was for it, I didn't see who.
That's what I
kinda nodded.
missed. That someone
Right.
said they were for it.
So if Nancy's in favor of it,
Oh.
then you're not going to get 5 votes tonight. So we need to postpone the action until March 4th, where we'll have additional counselors and you can have 5 affirmative votes in either direction. So that's that's the motion on the floor. Applicant, you understand that?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So if 4 folks have not been here tonight, does that mean that we have a chance to represent our, because I understand that you closed the public hearing.
Yep.
But I feel like without 4 other folks hearing the presentation again, potentially the decision for or against the applicant could be swayed
By the other counselors that are present.
Exactly.
So we'll discuss that and come up to a resolution on that. The meeting tonight's recorded, so those counselors that are not present here can simply watch that meeting without having to redo what's been said tonight. And so the hearing's been closed. I can defer to legal counsel on that. I don't know if we can reopen the hearing after it's been closed in order to have that discussion be presented to the councilors that are not present, or what your solution is for that.
Yeah, that's up to the council. The council can reopen the hearing, but it doesn't have to.
So that decision could be made at the next meeting when we're here. So I would come prepared to present. And if the counselors that aren't here as a quorum say, yeah, we want to reopen the hearing, then you'd have that opportunity to present. We will inform the counselors that, hey, come having watched tonight's meeting so that you're familiar with that. But if they want to reopen that hearing, then they would make that decision. Yep. So I just want to make sure everyone's understanding what the motion is and why that is, because it's a unique situation where we have 4 counselors that could not make the meeting tonight. They wanted to be here, but couldn't be here.
Could we not even play that meeting?
Yeah, we could play the recording at the next meeting if we wanted to. So, or you could just reopen it and have.
Well, that way no new evidence, nothing else is.
Yeah.
People watching have said that there's a lot of feedback tonight.
That's
So
what
if
I've heard
it's
as well,
just
so-
a recording of YouTube, it's not going to be very clear.
Right.
I
So
would
that's
prefer to
something
leave it
that's-
up to the applicant. If they want to represent, I would be fine with that. I think they deserve that.
That's a decision that the full council will make at the next meeting.
Or the council could also make that decision tonight. If you wanted to reopen the hearing and extend it to the next meeting, you could do that now. Or not, it's up to you.
We're here tonight in this meeting, so anyone that got the notice previously would be here, so we don't have to renotice.
So is that an option to leave it up to?
So you can, as our city attorney said, you can, as a council here tonight, you can make a motion to reopen the hearing and then make the postponement. So right now there's a motion on the floor, so Michael would have to withdraw his current motion of postponing, or that motion would have to fail, and then you could reopen the hearing and then postpone, just from a parliamentary procedure standpoint.
I don't mind withdrawing I understand. Yeah, I withdraw my motion for now.
All right, so now there's no motion on the floor. So you can make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
So my motion would be to reopen the public hearing
All right, so there's,
and postpone.
well, let's reopen it
Do
first.
both?
Let's just reopen it first. We'll do it one at a time. So ask for a second there.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion on it.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Now what?
So now we should make a motion to postpone
No,
until March 4th.
So motion to postpone the public
So
hearing to next week or next meeting.
March 4th, yep. So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. So we'll see the applicant in our next council meeting.
So we'll see you on March 4th, and you'll have the opportunity to represent the full council. All right?
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the public comment. And the public comment, please provide us with your name and address for the record. You have up to 3 minutes. It is your turn to talk and ours to listen. You are responsible for the content, even if it was written by someone else. Please direct all comments to the mayor. The mayor will refer to staff for readily available information or for follow-up as needed. Defamatory or libelous comments will not be accepted. Distractions may take attention from the speaker. The audience, city council members, and city staff are asked to focus on the speaker during their time by being respectfully quiet. First person that got signed up is Ann Hurd.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to make my council report on the Friends of the Dallas Aquatic Center and the pool.
Where are you from, man?
623 Southwest Hayter Street. The last thing we purchased for the pool was, well, we paid for the installation fee for the new pump, the $30,000 pump for the Lazy River that the city bought. And then we had $13,000 left. That's all we had left in the trust account, and that's all they needed for the installation. So they went ahead and ordered the pump, and then it'll be put in, once they figure out how to get it down into the pit, and it's bigger than the hole, but they'll figure that out. We are having business cards printed, which we've never had before, but it's because we now have a website, and we have an official email address, and a QR code for donations will be on the back of the card. So I was hoping they'd be ready by tonight, but I'll give you all one in the next meeting. And we're also going to plaster the town that we've ordered an initial 1,000. So, and hope that we'll get more donations this year now that the safety fee has passed. And Parks and Recreation just is going to continue going on. The next thing that Gretchen, the manager of the pool, would like are 2 swamp coolers. One to go in the party room in the summer, because it gets really hot with all those windows facing west. And then when they're not using it for that, they'll put it in the pool itself, because the staff gets so hot in the summer because there's hardly any ventilation. There's a door on each side, just one door, and they do leave them open in summer. But those swamp coolers are about $5,000 a piece. Want to get 2 of them, but it's a lot cheaper than spending $60,000 and getting a new air conditioning system in there. So that's for our next goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay, next is Robert Greenway.
3 minutes, right?
Hello, Robert Greenway, 2223 Northeast Academy Street, Dallas. I'm just going to read from this here. You're leaving in place the current flat rate for sewer usage is unfair morally and financially to a large class of people, 55 and older citizens of this town. Leave that out there. Seems to be no logical reason to leave the old way to bill, as there is another simple alternative that is fair to all citizens, known as the base rate and usage. And you are already using this in multifamily units. In excess of 80% of cities in Oregon are using this method. That's all I got to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. Next thing is concerning your building department. I feel, in my opinion, that they are engaging in malfeasance regarding code enforcement, having sent emails to Public Works Manager and not getting a response to talk to him about it. Have met with State Code Enforcement Division, spoke with the Enforcement Manager, Andrea Simmons. When I met with your building department multiple times and bring up my concerns, the answer I get is that they come back with is, what is your end game? Which I think is totally irresponsible of them, considering that I told them why I was talking to them about the problems. You know, it would take a long time to go into it. I don't got 3 minutes to do it. So with the State Department, I'll be working towards implementing the ORA 918-480-0140. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is consent agenda, and it includes approval of the February 3rd, 2024 work session minutes, approval of the February 5th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes, and January 2024 financial report. Is there anything you want to withdraw from the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signifying aye, say aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, passes unanimously. Next is reports or comments from the mayor and council members. Any comments there? I was not in charge of the rain Saturday. Wasn't my department. Yes, Debbie.
I'm really thrilled that we had the response that we did with the essay contest. The kids were really excited to do it. And it's the first time I've seen that many. It didn't seem like we had that many winners before or that many entries. There were a lot. Nice.
Good. Good.
And I was not a judge, even though some of my students won. I wasn't even involved.
Any other comments from the mayor or councilman? Carlos?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Boston, but one of the biggest attraction to Boston is visiting historic places. And oddly enough, there's a very simple way where you can almost immediately go to every single historic place, is to follow the Freedom Trail. So, and the Freedom Trail starts at Massachusetts State House. It goes through the Boston Common, goes through the North End, Paul Revere's house, Old North Church and so on and so on. I'd like to see Dallas kind of touts the historic of Dallas. Maybe we can have something like a Dallas Freedom Trail or Dallas Historic Trail. Something maybe to consider.
The Applegate Trail goes through our area. And that's kind of a major trail for wagons.
All right. Is there, I mean, the Freedom Trail, the other thing I didn't say is you can follow it because it's a red line. You could literally stay on that red line and see everything that is historic throughout Boston.
Over in Baker City, they have an Oregon Trail Museum, and there's still ruts in there from the original trail. Are you from Boston? I couldn't tell.
Yes, I am.
So, Councilor Variantos, so I would say that the city is, proud of our history, and one of the things that's currently in process is the designation of our downtown, the square in particular, and some of the surrounding blocks, as a historic district on the National Register of Historic Places. They just had a public hearing with the State Historic Preservation Organization, and they provisionally approved that with a couple of minor tweaks. So those tweaks will be made to the application and then pushed on to the National Park Service, the Department of Interior, that will ultimately approve that application. So in the near future, we should have a National Register of Places Historic District in the city of Dallas. In addition to that, we have several historic structures. You have a Historic Landmarks Commission, which with the action on the development code tonight would increase in number from 3 to 5. And that would be a perfect project for them to take up. So I would, through your interest in that, it's an idea that I will share with Charlie Mitchell, who is here. His staff staffs that committee and can present that idea to them. But I think it's a great idea and something that, again, ties into where we are as a city and how to, again, promote our history.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, reports and comments from the city manager and staff.
So we don't have any written reports tonight. I had one that was in my mind a few minutes ago to talk about, and now I can't because I was interested in your historic stuff. But whatever it was, I'm sure I can accomplish in an email to the council at another time. It'll come back eventually, but nothing formal tonight.
Okay, next on the agenda is the first reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 1892.
So ordinance 1892 is an ordinance adopting new provisions of the Dallas Development Code and amending other provisions and repealing all prior and conflicting ordinances. I'll note, while this is a first reading, we did identify a correction that we didn't make based off of your feedback at the last meeting, and that was changing the trail width from 12 feet to 10 feet. That was identified twice in the code. Once is on page 118 of your packet, and the other is on page 121 of your packet. We've since made those changes in the exhibit, and so when you see this for your second reading and adoption, those changes will be identified in that ordinance. So thank you, Councilor Schilling, for helping bring that to our attention.
Anything else?
Nope.
That's it. Next on the list is yes, first reading of ordinances number 1892 is passed as first reading. We'll move on to second reading of ordinances number 1890.
Right, ordinance 1890. So I flip to get to it real fast. Is an ordinance changing the zoning designation of a parcel of real property owned by Polk Community Development Corporation from residential low density to residential high density.
Any discussion? Have secretary please call the roll.
Counselor Barrientos,
Yes.
Counselor Jantz,
Yes.
Counselor Verdin,
Yes.
Council President Schilling,
Yes.
Counselor Adams,
Yes.
5-0.
I declare that ordinance number 1890 is passed by unanimous vote. Next is ordinance number 1891.
Yep. Ordinance 1891 is an ordinance repealing Dallas City Code sections 3.900 to 3.916.
Any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Counselor Jantz,
Yes.
Counselor Burton,
Yes.
Council President Schilling,
Yes.
Counselor Adams,
Yes.
Counselor Barrientos.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
Declare ordinance number 1891 passes second reading by unanimous vote. Is there anything else, any other business we need to do tonight? That's it? Well, happy birthday, City of Dallas.
Yes.
I actually remember what I was going to say now.
Okay.
So, and it came to, I looked at Debbie and her comment earlier about the static. So we have a contractor that's coming in this next week. Yes, on March 11th. So in a couple weeks, it'll be after the next meeting. So we may have one more meeting where it's like it was tonight. We try to reduce that. But we have a contractor that's going to come in, evaluate the system and get it fixed so that we don't have these issues. So we're working with Polk Information Systems, and it's the same contractor that just finished the Monmouth City Hall building, which their system is top notch. So we're excited to get that fixed, and it's been a frustration for sure.
Awesome.
All right, that's all.
Anything else?
That's it. That's
Okay.
it.